Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We are back again with more culture content. Follow me, Jay Doran _ the Culture Man on Instagram for leadership, culture, business, life topics. Today I'm elaborating on one of them, the right way to tackle tasks for maximum impact. The right way to tackle tasks for maximum impact. This one took me off my heels because it seemed overly simple. What do I actually have to say about tackling tasks for maximum impact? It seems that the answer is so obvious: to get started, not to procrastinate, right? Ben Franklin. Procrastination is the art of living in yesterday, avoiding today, and destroying tomorrow. To procrastinate in the art of living in yesterday, even if we're not thinking about yesterday, some sort of angst, some sort of anxiety, fear is stopping us from doing what we must. Maybe it's even this unconscious tug of war between uh, our potential and the fear of that potential. Maybe something that's sabotaging you right now from doing what's right in front of you is the fear you have of who you could become. Or maybe you don't know what to do. You're not quite sure how to do it. Maybe you haven't been in the game as long as you'd need to learn the lessons you'd need to learn to accumulate the knowledge necessary to be more capable and more competent and therefore more confident to lead into what it is that you could be putting off. Or maybe I'm reading into this idea, this topic in the wrong way, right? The right way to tackle tasks for maximum impact. Is there a right way? I wrote down a couple wrong ways. What seems more obvious: don't start. So this is going to go out around the new year of 2025, or maybe even sooner. The next few days, we're brushing up against this new year. Maybe maybe the value of hearing this right now for whatever reason, whether it was an accident clicking this or it was the next one in line because you're listening to the podcast, or you thought the title was something of value to you, is maybe below your awareness, your body is directing you towards embracing or confronting something that you've been putting off, something that you've got to get done. And so maybe you're looking for confirmation that you're right, or some type of feedback loop to help you recognize where you're wrong. Maybe you need to stop listening to this right now and go do the thing that you know that you need to do, because that's the task that you've been putting off, or tasks that you've just not started. You know, tackling tasks for maximum impact. Firstly, we've got to be doing the tasks. So are we doing the task? Am I doing the tasks? Am I putting it off? Or am I thinking that I need to get better at certain tasks because the very fact that those tasks exist is a consequence of me not doing other tasks that I've been putting off with apt justification, because there's other tasks that I've convinced myself that I've got to do before I do those other tasks that I'm really just avoiding. So I've created these other tasks that I'm now listening to this to try to get better at figuring out how I can maximize the impact of other tasks, when in fact doing those other tasks, whether good or bad or whatever, is actually an avoidance of embracing the responsibilities as it relates to doing the tasks that I'm truly avoiding. That's funny. I wrote after don't start, right? If you don't want to tackle tasks for maximum impact, don't start. I also wrote, don't overanalyze. I think that's funny because of this analysis, over analysis of even this topic. Don't overthink. Don't pass it to someone else. Don't Delegation of responsibility can also be abdication of responsibility. Delegation versus abdication. Now, if you don't know abdication, we can look it up right now. Abdication. I mean, it's to throw away, like to get rid of responsibility, but I'd like to read the definition. Abdication. The abdicate. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. Oh, I should screen share for the YouTubers here. Let's do that. Follow me, Jay Doran underscore the culture man on Instagram and on YouTube at JayDoran on YouTube. Abdication, an act of abdicating. Well, that doesn't help. Similar resignation, retirement, relinquishment, renunciation, disowning, failure to fulfill a responsibility or duty. So we can retire while still in the position of authority. We can relinquish our duties, still in the position of authority. We'll be forced to surrender if there's a coup d'etat because the people have been let down by us. Abjuration, that's an interesting word. Solemnly renounce a belief, cause, or claim. Abjuration, his refusal to abjure. Interesting. I would argue that just as an aside, our people will abjure. They'll solemnly renounce a belief in our company, a cause, a claim. They'll, as a consequence of our abdication, right? Our disowning, our renunciation, our failure to fulfill a responsibility or duty. So, um, the the wrong way to tackle tasks is to abdicate. It's to pass it to somebody else when in fact it's really ours that we've got to take the reins of. I see this happen with founders all the time when they replace themselves in their positions without real recognizing what the next job is at hand, what is next. And that's vision, that's strategy, it's people, it's who needs to be brought to the table, it's sales on the next level, raising capital, developing credit facilities, attracting the higher order talent, which also means potentially removing current talent and being being able to be confronted with the emotions that come as a consequence of that and the fears and anxieties. Here's a maybe it's not important, but it's on your mind. But yeah, so the wrong way to tackle tasks or maximum impact is to come up with other tasks to do as a distraction for the tasks that are really the ones that we're avoiding. And I have been guilty of all of this. I want to be honest with you, but really, yeah, but myself. This is this is you know, part of responsibility. So the right way to tackle task maximum impact, I wrote some questions down. Are you committed? Are you knowledgeable? How long have you been at it? Whatever it's your business, it's your job. Are you committed? Are you knowledgeable? Like, are you all in? Or are you half in? Being all in will help tackle tasks. Being an all-in person, being knowledgeable, knowing enough, being competent enough. That has a relationship with education, formal and informal, experience, and that has a relationship with how long you've been at it. You know, first rule of business: don't quit, don't give up, stay in the game. If you're working with a company and maybe you want to quit, it's not for you, but if you show up and give it your all and give it your best, you're going to be a better person regardless of the outcome because it's your life that you're taking the reins of. So, in short, the right way to tackle tasks or maximum impact, I think it's to get started on them. That's easier said than done because maybe you had to listen to this and a bunch of other videos and do a bunch of other things that it didn't have anything to do with your task. So you could do your task. Because how do you do your task if you don't want to do it? And how do you actually do what you don't want to do? And if you're not doing it, then you don't want to do it. So don't tell yourself you want to do it, or me or anybody else you want to do it if you're not doing it, because you're not doing it. You don't you do what you want. What you're doing reveals your beliefs, not what you say you want to do. What you actually do is a reflection of who you actually are. And so let's not lie to ourselves. And final thoughts on this is preparation. Preparation is tied in here because I think preparation has a relationship with maximizing tasks. The more prepared I've been, the better the outcome, the better the quality, the more confidence, the more competence, um, the more value creation. So I think the right way to tackle tasks or maximum impact is to be all in, is to not quit, is to be prepared, is to know what you're doing, is to not quit, avoid distraction, potentially delegation, procrastination, overthinking, and get to work. Thanks for listening. Follow me, Jay Doran _ the Culture Man on Instagram. Don't abdicate leadership because the people will abjure. Please leave us a review on the Culture Manners podcast. We will see you next time.